Welcome to today's episode of Simply Honest, the show where we give you honest yet simple first impressions of the latest games with a little bit of gameplay sprinkled in. I am your host, Nico Silverado, and welcome to today's DLC review of Maneater. Now, of course, before we dive right into today's review of Maneater's DLC, I just want to make a premise knowing that this review is going to be solely based on the DLC of Maneater. If you happen to be watching this video and are interested in our more in-depth review of the base game, there will be a link in the description as well as a card on screen now. Of course, let's get ready to dive right into the DLC of Maneater, known as The Truth. Now, to give you guys a general synopsis about how I feel about this game in regards to the overall gameplay, this DLC is awesome. It's really fun, it's really cool, and the new shark skin set that you get to hunt for is really powerful without being overall game breaking. Overall, Maneater's DLC of The Truth is a bit of a different take. The overall shift from a nature documentary to a conspiracy theory dialogue really adds a fun and, in my opinion, a very different narrative that I was expecting the game to take for a DLC. But the overall story evolves as you, as the shark, after having decimated all the major hunters in Port Clovis, you are now hunting for a new apex creature that you sense within a nearby island in a secret research facility. With you as the shark, you get to now farm for the new thing known as the Atomic Set, a black and green style shark skin that turns you into a form of a hammerhead shark with the ability to shoot atomic lasers out of your mouth as a projectile. Overall, my time during this review, I felt that the Atomic Set, although it is extremely powerful and very fun to use, I do not believe it's overpowered in the sense that you would never want to use any other type of skin, as I still found that there were a lot of reasons to mix and match the various other shark skins to kind of make your own shark as destructive as possible. Overall, from a design perspective, the game has done really good in regards to giving you as a player a new visual experience that allows you to enjoy yourself. They even incorporate a lot of very fun new enemy types, mechanics, and things that, in my opinion, really help spice up the game. One of my original gripes that I had about the base game was that I felt the combat was too simplistic eventually, as everything kind of felt really easy, not a lot of variety, and I felt that for the most part, this new DLC with the new enemies, the new humans, and the vehicles that you get to use really kind of spices up the combat, as you're now dealing with things such as irradiated creatures, electric great white sharks, and even superpowered orcas and so on. And on top of that, the humans finally have helicopters. I had mentioned back in my original first review that the feeling that this game reminded me of was older 2D Flash games where you were playing as a super shark that could jump into the air, taking out pure helicopters and destroying and bringing out the literal military. And lo and behold, we upgrade ourselves from hillbillies with shotguns to underpaid military personnel with shotguns and grenades. The overall impressions that I had throughout this game was a lot of wonder and a lot of excitement, as there were things such as racing with time trials, new hunted creatures, and just the overall changes of the game was really amazing to see, especially for a DLC. Of course, with the graphics of this game still being very fun, I think they still put a lot of effort and a lot of detail into the game, and as a DLC, they still maintain the same quality and the same visual aesthetics that you saw during the base game itself. And I really commend them for maintaining the art style integrity, but also still enhancing the visual experience for people that ended up playing the original base game and then transitioning straight to the DLC. As I mentioned before, the story in Maneater from the base game and the DLC have been what I think is genuinely what carries the success of this game. With the voice acting being very wonderful, you have the base game being narrated more in the sense of a nature documentary, and then with the Truth DLC, you find yourself now in the perspective of a really fun conspiracy theory, as you're hearing things about like the insectoid overlords, the government not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and all the various things that you would hear from a classic conspiracy theory radio situation. And the DLC adds a fair amount of extra hours worth of content in regards to fighting certain people, hunting down monsters, and just enjoying the various quips that you get to hear throughout the game that really enhances the overall fun. I think that one of the biggest things that's really fun about this story is that you get to have just a new degree of challenge in order to reach the end game for this DLC. And I think anyone who decides to have a lot of fun in games like this is going to enjoy themselves in the long run just because of how Maneater is built overall. Having played the DLC all the way through and experiencing the narrative to the best of my ability, I can tell you all with a very high degree of confidence that Maneater's Truth DLC is a well-made DLC that is, in my opinion, worth the money. The skin that you obtain for the shark is really cool, visually appealing, and for mechanics, extremely fun without being overpowered to the point where you will never want to use another gear set for the shark. I feel that the future of this game has the ability to really go farther if they truly wish, but with how the DLC ends in terms of the narrative and in terms of the power cap, I believe that we as a community can call this a well-finished series with the DLC. And if the studio ever did choose to make another one, I would be greatly curious to see how they would modify the narrative and even create newer challenges, as this game has, in my opinion, the ability to be whatever we want it to be in terms of challenge, shenanigans, and so on. Some of my final thoughts that I would like to have in regards to the overall Maneater DLC is that it is extremely fun, well worth the money, the skin is really cool, and Maneater as a whole, I feel like really benefited from this DLC, as it didn't really take away from the narrative, but instead really developed a fun addition to the series. But of course, if you guys did end up playing the DLC by the time you've read this review, please let me know down in the comments section, for I would love to know how you felt about the DLC and what your favorite shark skin is from this game. But as we close off from this review, as always, if you guys did make it this far and enjoyed the review, consider liking, subscribing, and joining us for some of our upcoming future content as we tackle more amazing and fun game reviews here on our channel. And of course, don't forget to check out our Twitch streams on YouTube streams, where you're able to check out us recording our various B-roll streams that you see on camera. But as always though, I have been your host, Nico Silverado. This has been a Simply Honest game review of the DLC Maneater, The Truth, and we'll see you guys all on the next video.